As the sun rises over Ho Chi Minh City, the streets are already alive with activity. In a vast, bustling factory, hundreds of workers skillfully piece together electronics, garments, and machinery that will soon be shipped around the world. This scene is strikingly similar to what one might have witnessed in Shenzhen during the early 1990s, when China's economic engine was just revving up. Today, with a population surpassing 100 million, Vietnam, the world's 15th most populous country, is drawing comparisons to China. However, a more precise analogy might be the next Guangdong, a regional powerhouse with immense potential. As 2024 unfolds, the distinctions and similarities between China and Vietnam become ever more pronounced, revealing the unique trajectories of these two nations. Vietnam has steadily grown its economy, becoming a manufacturing hub that attracts foreign investments due to its strategic Southeast Asian location and a vast coastline. According to Fred Burke, managing partner at Baker McKenzie in Vietnam, Vietnam's strategic approach to economic reform and integration into global supply chains is creating a new economic dynamo in Southeast Asia.
The new plan is all focused on 2045. By 2045, Vietnam's going to be a modern country. And, it may look like a challenge right now when you see how, the traffic infrastructure still has a long way to go. Things like the court system are still behind. But, the pace of change leads you to believe, well, if you project that out, they can just achieve some of these great ambitions.
The country's young workforce and pro-business policies are key factors driving its growth. In contrast, China's economic might, characterized by its vast GDP, industrial output, and technological advancements, continues to dominate globally. Demographically, Vietnam benefits from a younger population, while China grapples with an aging population affecting its labor force and economic dynamics. Both countries are integral to global supply chains, with Vietnam emerging as a key manufacturing base for textiles, electronics, and footwear, whereas China remains the world's factory with extensive infrastructure and a diverse industrial base. Politically, China's centralized governance and state-led economic model contrast with Vietnam's socialist-oriented market economy, driven by political stability and openness to reforms. Geopolitically, China's assertiveness in the South China Sea and its Belt and Road Initiative significantly influences regional dynamics, while Vietnam carefully balances economic ties with China and fosters strategic partnerships with other nations. We'll deeply analyze the contrast between the two nations. Let's get into the details of it. China's economic ascent is unparalleled, transforming it into the factory of the world. Despite the decreasing share of exports in its GDP, China remains the largest trading nation globally. While its export share of GDP has decreased to around 20%, China's manufacturing has shifted towards high-tech industries such as electric vehicles, renewable energy, and telecommunications. Services have also grown in importance, contributing a larger share to the GDP. China is not only the world's biggest exporter, but also its second largest importer, with a booming consumer market. It holds the largest foreign exchange reserves, amounting to $3.1 trillion. With the largest labor force globally, China is a key player in global trade, leading in several high-tech and industrial sectors. China's innovative capacity is also noteworthy. It was ranked the 11th most innovative nation globally in 2022 and leads in various metrics related to patent filings and research output. It is also the second largest holder of financial assets worldwide. China has a labor force of 791 million people and has lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty, creating a significant middle class. This demographic shift has fueled domestic consumption and innovation, making China a leader in sectors like fintech and AI. However, rising labor costs, which have increased to an average of $6.50 per hour, push manufacturers to seek more cost-effective locations like Vietnam. Vietnam's economic growth has positioned it as one of Southeast Asia's leading manufacturing hubs. Its strategic location, cost-effectiveness, and favorable business environment have attracted significant foreign investment. Labor costs in Vietnam are notably lower than in China, at approximately $2.99 per hour, making it an appealing destination for manufacturing. Key industries include textiles, electronics, machinery, and footwear. The World Bank projects that Vietnam's economy will continue to grow, reaching 5.5% in 2024 and 6.0% by 2025, driven by its robust manufacturing sector and improved infrastructure. Vietnam's labor force of over 57 million people combined with a young and tech-savvy population, enhances its attractiveness to global investors. Vietnam's rise in manufacturing is further bolstered by its participation in various free trade agreements, including the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, and the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, EVFTA. These agreements have reduced tariffs and increased market access, making Vietnam a vital part of global supply chains. In the realm of electronics, Vietnam has become a significant player. Major global companies like Samsung, Intel, and LG have established large manufacturing facilities in the country. Samsung alone accounts for nearly 1/4 of Vietnam's total exports, highlighting the country's critical role in the global electronics market. This growth is supported by a young and increasingly skilled workforce, with a median age of 32 and a literacy rate of over 95%. The textile and garment industry is another cornerstone of Vietnam's manufacturing sector. Vietnam is the world's third largest exporter of textiles and garments, with the United States being its largest market. The industry employs around 2.5 million people, contributing significantly to the country's GDP. Competitive labor costs, coupled with improvements in production quality and compliance with international standards, have made Vietnam a preferred destination for apparel manufacturing. Vietnam's government has also prioritized the development of industrial zones and clusters to attract foreign direct investment, FDI. These zones offer various incentives, including tax breaks and streamlined administrative procedures to create a conducive environment for manufacturing. The government's focus on infrastructure development, such as expanding ports, highways, and industrial parks, further enhances Vietnam's appeal to global manufacturers. China's political system is dominated by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, one of the largest political parties globally with over 85 million members. The CCP exercises centralized control over all aspects of governance, including the military, media, and civil society. The Politburo and its Standing Committee, China's top decision-making bodies, dictate policies and oversee their implementation across the country. Despite market-oriented reforms since the late 1970s, the state retains control over key industries and exercises significant influence over private enterprises. China operates under a socialist market economy, characterized by strong state intervention. This system has enabled rapid economic growth and modernization, but has also led to concerns about human rights abuses and the concentration of power. David Shambaugh, a professor of political science and international affairs at George Washington University, reflects on this dual-edged sword. China's centralized political system has been both a blessing and a curse. It allows for swift implementation of policies, but also stifles political freedom and can lead to significant social unrest if not managed carefully.
Another consideration for all Chinese leaders is the physical core of China is ethnically Han. Other ethnic groups on the periphery of China, all the way from northeast China and those of Korean heritage, Manchu heritage, over to the north Mongolian heritage, Uyghur and Kazakh heritage in the northwest, Tibetan heritage, and others in the southern periphery. These are all considered to be outsiders. Central China are Han Chinese.
The CCP's centralized governance ensures political stability and policy continuity, critical factors in China's economic success. Despite its effectiveness in policy implementation, concerns persist about political freedoms and social cohesion under such a tightly controlled regime. The Communist Party of Vietnam, CPV, is the sole political party in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Founded by Ho Chi Minh in 1930, the CPV has maintained unitary rule and central authority over the military, administration, and media. The CPV follows democratic centralism, with the National Congress electing the Central Committee, which in turn elects the Politburo and the Secretariat. Vietnam has undergone significant economic reforms since the 1980s under the Doi Moi policy, transitioning from a centrally planned economy to a socialist-oriented market economy. These reforms have encouraged foreign investment, trade, and private enterprise, propelling Vietnam into one of the fastest-growing economies globally. Vietnam's unique blend of socialist governance and market reforms has created a stable and conducive environment for economic growth, attracting significant foreign investment while maintaining political stability. China's expansive claims in the South China Sea have caused tensions with neighboring countries, including Vietnam. The region is believed to hold vast reserves of oil and natural gas, leading to competing claims over islands and maritime areas. China's assertive actions, including building military outposts and expanding islands, have drawn international criticism and increased regional instability. The United States supports freedom of navigation and has called for a legally binding code of conduct to resolve disputes peacefully. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, is a massive infrastructure project aimed at enhancing global connectivity. The BRI has expanded China's political and economic influence, though it has also faced criticism and concerns about debt sustainability among participating countries. The initiative aims to build a vast network of infrastructure, including roads, railways, and ports, linking Asia, Africa, and Europe. Despite its ambitious goals, the BRI has been viewed with suspicion by some nations, fearing it as a tool for Chinese geopolitical expansion. Vietnam has skillfully navigated its foreign relations, balancing ties with major powers like China and the United States. Despite deep economic links with China, Vietnam has sought to diversify its partnerships to avoid over-reliance on any single nation. The recent upgrade of U.S.-Vietnam relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership reflects Vietnam's strategic balancing act. Vietnam's approach involves hedging, assurance, and deterrence to manage relations with great powers. Vietnam's military upgrades and strong national defense posture underscore its commitment to safeguarding its sovereignty, particularly in the contested South China Sea. The country also maintains active diplomatic ties with middle powers like Japan, South Korea, and India, enhancing its strategic options. ASEAN remains central to Vietnam's foreign policy, providing a platform for regional stability and cooperation. Vietnam's integration into the global economy has been facilitated by a vast network of free trade agreements, FTAs. The country is part of 16 bilateral and multilateral FTAs, which have deepened its economic ties with the world. Vietnam's total trade value reached $683 billion in the previous year, reflecting its robust trade activities. Vietnam's trade and investment landscape has benefited from favorable conditions, including lower labor costs, strategic location, and a business-friendly environment. The country has attracted significant foreign investment, particularly in manufacturing and export-oriented industries. Vietnam's economic outlook remains positive, with continued growth expected in the coming years. China, frequently hailed as an economic giant, is at a turning point in its development. The Chinese economy has grown significantly over the last few decades, but now faces several difficult obstacles. These include declining growth, rising debt, changing demographics, environmental concerns, international trade conflicts, and technological rivalry. Scott Kennedy, a senior advisor and trustee chair in Chinese business and economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, comments on these challenges, stating, China faces significant economic challenges, from rising debt to demographic shifts. However, its focus on innovation and strategic investments in technology and renewable energy could pave the way for sustained growth in the coming decades.
China has to address these fundamental challenges because everyone has to contribute for them to do so. Now, of course, China has fared tremendously. Its economy is much, much larger, and they're leaders in electric vehicles and other sectors. But gosh, these are some of the biggest challenges that they've ever faced at a time when the political system is not as flexible as it needs to be to adapt to these challenges.
China's formerly spectacular GDP growth rates have slowed, with the IMF projecting a mere 4.5% growth in 2024, down from previous double-digit rates. One reason for this slowdown is the diminishing returns on extensive infrastructure investments. Rapid housing development, for example, has fulfilled demand ahead of income levels, limiting further growth potential. The growing debt load is another pressing issue. China's total debt, including household, corporate, and government debt, has surged to over 280% of GDP. This raises concerns about financial stability and the potential for economic crises if not managed properly. Changing demographics pose a unique challenge as China's population ages and the workforce shrinks, putting pressure on government finances, healthcare systems, and pension plans. Environmental issues such as air and water pollution, soil erosion, and sustainability also demand significant investment and policy reform. International trade tensions, especially with the U.S., complicate China's economic landscape. The ongoing trade disputes have disrupted supply chains and created uncertainty in global markets.
One of the major economic tenets of his plan isn't working at all right now. I'm not happy for that. but it's not working. So he's trying to figure out, I suspect, I don't know, just like I would, trying to figure out what to do about the particular crisis we're having now. But I don't think it's a crisis relating to conflict between China and the United States.
Additionally, China's technological advancements, while impressive, face challenges in intellectual property rights, cybersecurity, and regulatory barriers, limiting its aspirations for global technological leadership. Despite these challenges, China's commitment to innovation, renewable energy, and strategic planning offers opportunities for continued growth and development. Vietnam presents numerous prospects but also faces significant challenges. Conducting business in Vietnam can be hindered by bureaucratic delays, corruption, legal and regulatory inconsistencies, and infrastructure issues. Ruchir Sharma, former head of emerging markets and chief global strategist at Morgan Stanley, observes, Vietnam's economic potential is immense. But to fully realize this potential, it must address infrastructure gaps, regulatory inconsistencies, and labor market challenges. By doing so, Vietnam can continue its impressive growth trajectory and solidify its position in the global economy. Although Vietnam has lower duties on many goods per its WTO obligations, high tariffs remain on certain categories. Reducing these tariffs could enhance export growth, especially in sectors like agriculture, processed foods, and nutritional supplements. Vietnam's role in developing secure, diversified supply chains is crucial. As global companies seek to reduce reliance on China, Vietnam's favorable business environment, free trade agreements, young and tech-savvy workforce, and strategic location make it an attractive manufacturing hub. However, challenges such as underdeveloped infrastructure, high startup costs, unexpected tax assessments, complex land acquisition processes, and labor shortages can pose obstacles to foreign investment. As China and Vietnam navigate their unique paths in the global economy, the future holds both promise and challenge. China's strategic investments in technology and renewable energy, alongside its evolving economic model, suggest potential avenues for sustained growth amid global uncertainties. Meanwhile, Vietnam's dynamic manufacturing sector, bolstered by its young workforce and strategic partnerships, positions it as a pivotal player in Southeast Asia's economic landscape. The road ahead will likely see both countries continuing to adapt to shifting global dynamics, balancing economic expansion with environmental sustainability and geopolitical stability. How each nation navigates these complexities will not only shape their own futures, but also influence broader regional and global economic trends. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.